I love sandwiches. They might be my favorite food group, or they're at least one of them. And so I wanted to talk to three of Omaha's premier sandwich makers and kind of learn more about it, get their perspective. So we've got Andrew Novak from In Thyme, Chloe Tran-Thompson from the Banh Mi Shop, and Paul Urban from Block 16. Can we give them a round of applause? Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and sandwiches are just one of the most universal, ubiquitous foods. You are going to find just any culture has at least one signature, if not many different sandwiches. And I think there's something just about bread and, I was going to say meat and cheese, but it doesn't even have to have those elements. It can be vegetarian. It can be dairy-free. It can be anything. That's the beauty of a sandwich. And I love sandwiches. They might be my favorite food group, or they're at least one of them. And so I wanted to talk to three of Omaha's premier sandwich makers and kind of learn more about it, get their perspective. So we've got Andrew Novak from In Thyme, Chloe Tran-Thompson from the Banh Mi Shop, and Paul Urban from Block 16. Can we give them a round of applause? The one thing that we can all agree about on sandwiches from the very start is that they are not a hot dog, right?
I literally just had this debate like 20 minutes ago.
I made a good Costco hot dog. It hits the spot sometimes.
But a hot dog is a hot dog. A hot dog is not a sandwich.
I'm going to go ahead and say that is correct.
I mean, it's got bread wrap around.
Chloe, are we going to start off the podcast on odds?
I'm just saying, I appreciate a $1.50 hot dog after my $400 grocery trip.
Okay, so specifically a Costco hot dog is a sandwich. I'm glad we made that delineation.
Okay, yeah.
What I would love is for each of you guys to start off with a quick introduction to yourself and to your concept. So maybe give us 45 to 90 seconds on who you are and what your concept is. Andrew, we'll start with you.
My name's Andrew Novak. I've been a chef now for 16 years. I've worked all over Omaha, cutting my teeth and learning about the industry. Finally have an opportunity to launch my own concept right here in the Millwork Commons building, all thanks to Queen Slate Food Co. I clearly have a deep passion for bread and the things that go between them. It's a passion of mine. I love sandwiches to my core. It's, well, as you mentioned, a universal, almost blank slate. You can do just about anything with it. You can be as creative or as simple as you want. So it's kind of everything and nothing all at the same time.
And his restaurant is right behind all of you inside there. That's where In Thyme is. Mm-hmm. Go there. Guys, the stuff that this dude puts together. Insane.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Chloe, who are you?
So hi, my name is Chloe, and I own the Banh Mi Shop in Bellevue. And we've been around this is year 9. We opened in November of 2017. Yes. So I'm originally from Vietnam and came here for school when I was 17. Yeah. And the shop was open when I took a gap year of college. So I was a sophomore. Yeah, after I graduate from, Metro for my 2 years. So I took a year gap to open the Banh Mi Shop, mostly because I love this specific sandwich that you can find in Vietnam everywhere. It's called a Banh Mi sandwich. It's kind of like, tacos in Mexico. It's the street food that you eat any time of the day. And so I grew up loving it, every version of it. And that's, is a big gap that we had here then. We didn't have a Banh Mi sandwich, not a authentic one. So when the opportunity came, I decided to open up a business dedicated to it. And I've been cooking since I was 12, but never actually made a banh mi in my life. It's just not something that you made at home because there were so many components to it. So when the Banh Mi Shop was open, I decided to make every single one of that component ourselves, including the bread, the sauces, the mayo, the pickles that go in it, the meat that we marinate. So everything you eat in a banh mi sandwich, we make right here in Omaha. And that's actually is a crazy thing to do because in Vietnam, people usually use different vendors to supply them with each of that. But I don't know, we just can't have it any other way. And for me, a sandwich, especially a banh mi sandwich, it has to do with every flavor have to combine, I don't know, if I bite into a banh mi sandwich, it have to remind me of when I was riding on a motorcycle and, riding in the back with my mom going to school, and she just wing into the this cart on the sidewalk and bought one, and then I just eat it right out of the back of a motorcycle. That's what it need to taste like to me, and that's what I decided to bring to my business.
Paul, I'm sure no one here has heard of Block 16. Can you fill them in?
My name is Paul Urban. I'm a co-owner of Block 16 with my wife Jessica. She's not here tonight. Personally, I've only really ever cooked. I've been cooking professionally for 32 years now. Jess and I have moved all over the world, and we've worked everything from 2 Michelin star restaurants to what we do now. And we just like to have a lot of fun. We've been open. We turned 16 this year. We're right in the middle of the streetcar construction in the sinkhole. So that's a good way to find us. If you just GPS the sinkhole, we're right around the corner. We like to have fun. We do a different special every single day of the year. So we've done, I can't even remember now. We've done, about 300 per year. So we've done about 6,000 different sandwich specials, entree specials over the years, and we're still loving it. We love what we do. We love the city of Omaha, and we love Dan Hoppen. So excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Oh, I can be buttered up. Thank you. And I was actually thinking about this coming into it because not every Block 16 special is a sandwich, but a great majority of them are.
A lot of them are, yeah.
I would venture to say no one in Omaha has come up with more sandwiches than you and your team. So you guys are the sandwich kings of Omaha.
Well, thank you. I don't know about that. We're definitely we've come up with a lot, but I don't know if I'd say we're the kings of it.
I'll say it. You don't have to.
Thank you.
Okay. To start off here, what inspired you guys to open a sandwich-forward restaurant? Why are you passionate about sandwiches?
For me, it's the bread. That's where it all started. It gives me an excuse to get into the kitchen like 4 o'clock in the morning by myself. Just me and the bread. It's truly my favorite hours of the day. Before anybody's in there, just my music. If you walk in these doors at 4 o'clock, I'm probably rocking out. You could hear it outside. So, Then after that, it's just kind of a blank slate. Like I said, it's just I get to be creative and build whatever I feel like building. I love it.
I guess you kind of told your story, Chloe, but if you want to add anything else on, you can.
I think for me is to share a part of myself because being Vietnamese and being in Nebraska, you don't most people don't really know much of that, especially when I came here 12, 13 years ago. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of Vietnamese anything here. So when I want to bring Vietnamese food to the food scene, I want to make it as I would like to eat it. I would want people to experience that how I would like it. And I think I'm surprised how many people actually love it. And I think they appreciate the fact that they can find that, they don't have to go to Vietnam to have good banh mi. And a lot of my customers actually said they've been to Vietnam and came back and still like my sandwiches better. So I think that's a good compliment.
I don't know how much time you spent actually thinking about this. And banh mi's are a little bit more prevalent now than they were when you first opened your shop. But, I mean, probably hundreds, if not thousands of people in Omaha, like, your shop was their first banh mi. Like, this thing that is so special to you, that you have these core memories tied to, you are the only way, or at least the first way, the gateway for people to experience that. Like, how meaningful is that to you?
It means a lot, and part of the reason why I named the shop the Banh Mi Shop is because back when I first came here, every time I go to a restaurant that would do a version of banh mi, and I enjoy their way of making it. The French Bulldog used to have a pretty good one. Still sad about that closing. But the reason why I picked the name is because most of the restaurants that do it spell it BAHN. So it bothers me so much that when I open the shop, I have to just do a very forward name. Is the Banh Mi Shop is spelled BANH. That's the correct spelling of it, and I think that's part of what I try to put out there is that the right spelling, the right flavor profile, the right everything, and that's what our customers know, and they can go anywhere and they already know what a real banh mi is. So,
Paul, I want to give you a chance to answer because you mentioned you've been cooking for over 3 decades now. You've cooked in Michelin-starred restaurants, and you own a sandwich shop. What inspired you to open a sandwich shop?
Ours was more kind of go with the flow. We took over a Euro shop with the intention of turning it into more of like a sit-down restaurant, something nice and entrees. And I've told this story, I think, on your show several times. That it was a financial thing. We didn't have any money. We both were working second and third jobs for the first 2 years, and Jessica even longer. And it was like we had to use the ingredients that we had on hand, and so that was all sandwich forward. And we kind of built this following with our specials, and it was just kind of like we really started to enjoy it. And we were like, well, all these items that we planned on serving at our fine dining restaurant, how do we get them in between 2 pieces of bread or on a wrap or something that you can carry? And then we just fell in love with it. Once we started doing it, it was like there were so many childhood memories of, I remember the first time my dad would microwave bologna because it would turn it into a sombrero. It would like pop up in the middle. And then he'd put it on bread with barbecue sauce and give us like chips with it. I remember putting chips on there, and it was the greatest thing in the world because it had this crunch and this like fake cheese flavor. And so we were like, man, like, why don't we just like, an example of that is like take Anthony Bourdain's favorite sandwich, the shaved mortadella sandwich, which is similar to bologna, fry it up, Duke's mayonnaise, cheese, and then why not like let's put some chips on it, or you know what I mean? And it's just been a lot of fun. It's just really fun to like come up with stuff that you have to pick up and you eat it over a trash can because it's a little messy. So
see, this is why I think sandwiches are so universally loved, is because they're so accessible. Everyone has eaten sandwiches. Everyone has made sandwiches. Everyone's had a sandwich that they threw together in 25 seconds when they had to run out the door. Everyone's had a sandwich at a nice restaurant. Like, I haven't even asked you guys, and we've had 2 people share like core memories about sandwiches. Do you think that just the accessibility to sandwiches is part of what makes them so popular, that everyone has those experiences with them?
I think so. I do. I think it's the accessibility, and it's just the once it's done, all you have to do is pick it up and eat it. There's no like chopsticks or forks and broth and spoon, and it's like it's there. All the flavors you want are going to be in one bite, and it's like the banh mi. It's like you take all those different ingredients And when you put them all together in one bite, rather than having them all out on a plate where you have to cut and get, it's all right there, and then you get that perfect bite, and it's like, it's magic.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen so many of my customers just grab a sandwich and sit there in their car and eat, for lunch. And I think that's something that you can't really do with any other food. They can open it and take a few bites and set it down and go about their day. And that's what we used to do as well in Vietnam for banh mi sandwich. It's just a quick bite, and there's just so many forms of it. You can pack it for a picnic. You can. It's kind of bring a little bit of PTSD, to be honest. But when my family would go to the beach back in Vietnam, their staple food, I don't know why, is they would just buy just banh mi bread, like just the plain bread.
The baguette?
Yeah, just the Vietnamese style baguette. And they would buy like the Vietnamese style ham, and then these. I don't know why they always use a canned liver pate. And that's what they would pack in the vans. Like, we would usually go to the beach, like, in a big van that would have, like, everybody's stuff in there. And then in the middle of the trip, instead of, like, stopping somewhere for food, they would just start to, like, bust these bread out and make these, sandwiches. And I can still taste that in my mouth when I think about it. But I think everybody has a sandwich that tied to their memory like that.
Mm-hmm. Nothing to add, Andrew?
Nope.
Okay, fair enough. What is your restaurant's signature sandwich, and why do you love it so much? We'll start with you, Andrew.
Oh, it's my grilled Humphreys McCheese. It's the grilled cheese on the menu and the braised beef. We did a little music festival. We did food for a music festival. Falconwood Park, our friends put it on, and I named it after my favorite band, Humphreys McGee. And it was so well received. Every time I had sold one of those, like, everybody came back and they said, "Oh my goodness, that sandwich was absolutely delicious. Like, tell me about it." So it was a no-brainer for me. I mean, it's near and dear to my heart. I know, Dan, you've eaten it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's a Mount Rushmore Omaha sandwich in my book. Chloe, obviously a banh mi, but you have 16 different banh mi's on the menu, I think.
Yeah. Before I go into my restaurant favorite sandwich, I'm just gonna say my favorite sandwich over at Block 16 is actually the Sloppy Nick. I don't know why, but it's like the best sloppy.
It's a sloppy Joe on jalapeno cornbread.
I don't know why, but
it's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's so nice.
I wouldn't go to a restaurant and order like a sloppy Joe, but that thing is so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
But the most popular sandwich at my shop, I think, is the number 2, the lemongrass grilled pork. We slice pork butt really thin, so it have like marble of like meat and fat, and we marinate in this mix of lemongrass and garlic and onion and soy. It's just so much flavor packed in the meat, and then we char grill it. My staff love grilling that thing every morning, I'm sure. It actually takes a lot, but we always grill it on a cast iron grill, so it have that smoky flavor. So in Vietnam, usually when they do that version of that sandwich, they do like these charcoal grill like outside, and they would grill it on like a they would have a thin layer on the grill and then just fan it all over the place, and everybody can smell it within 2 miles radius, and it's kind of mean, but so that's what our customer love the most. Actually, if you go to the shop, especially in the morning when they grill it, you can smell it too. It's the same kind of thing. But then it's served on our banh mi with our house hoisin sauce, and then it combined with that pickled vegetable. It's just a really good combination.
Paul, what about Block 16?
I'm hungry now too. That sounds really good.
That sounds really awesome.
I don't know that we really have like a signature. I mean, we've got like our croque garçon burger is really popular, and I would maybe our poutine burrito. I don't know if you would consider that a sandwich or not, but that's I love it because the menu was always designed with like Jess and I. It used to be at the dog park. You know, we bring our dogs to the park and we would talk about, you know, what are we going to put on the menu. And she's from Canada, born and raised, and poutine is obviously Canadian, a huge thing up there. And I had brought the idea to her. I was like, what if we did like some braised short rib, gravy, malt vinegar mayo, and like tater tots for crunch instead of fries, and put it in a burrito with cheese curds. And she was like she was like, no, you can't do that. And that's the worst idea I've ever heard. And then it was like one of these things, like the next day she's like, yeah, just so you know, I talked to my mom, and my mom was like, no, you can't do that. And then I went ahead and called my sister in Australia, but she's still Canadian, and she said, no, you can't do that. So we did it, and then it was like we sold like 400 of them, and so we ended up putting it on the menu. We actually did a thing after about a year. We were like, okay, we're going to run this on special, and if we sell 1,000 of these over the next 2 days, we'll put it on the menu. And we sold like 2,200 or something. Like it was some dumb number. Like, so I love that just because of the story, and because I'm never right and I never win a fight. So it was nice to be
You've got to hold on to
I've
that
got
one.
that one. Yeah. I made myself a trophy for that one.
So just for the record, a burrito is not a sandwich, but that thing is so delicious. That is one of my favorite things in Omaha to eat. I don't care. You can call it a plate of spaghetti if you want. You can call it sushi. I don't care what you call it. Just never take it off the menu.
Well, that's always been my thing with the whole like weird sandwich argument. Is this a sandwich? Is this a sandwich? Like, because we'll do like, oh, we've got a chicken cutlet grilled cheese, and we've always got people in the comments going, well, technically that's a melt. And my thing is like, if you're gonna buy it from me, you can call it a Ford Taurus. I don't care what you call it, but I'm not gonna get into the sandwich debate with you. Like, you call it whatever you want, as long as you're nice to the staff and you order it.
It is so funny how people are so protective of their definition of a sandwich, because it's the same thing.
Just happened.
When I've posted about the grilled cheese that you were talking about, you can get the grilled cheese just with cheese, but it is better by adding the braised beef. And I post about it, and 6 or 7 people in the comments are like, it's not a grilled cheese, there's meat in it. I'm like,
it's technically a melt. Whatever.
Yeah.
it's just so interesting. Like some restaurants will call a gyro a sandwich. So like runza, technically, if you go to runza and order one on the menu, it's called a runza sandwich, even though it's fully encased. It's so fascinating to me, like the varying opinions on what a sandwich is. And that so people, like, they have their definition, and they will die on that hill rather than succumb to someone else's opinion.
Yeah. Especially with everything going on, like, in the whole world, like, that's what you're worried about. Like, you're on my Facebook page worried about whether it's a melt or a grilled cheese. Like, come on.
The key to an elite sandwich is what?
Good bread, balance. Boom.
Well, talk to me about balance. How do you define balance?
Well, I mean, it's all about keeping, that your flavor profile through the whole sandwich is like a sourdough sandwich. You're starting with kind of an acidic bread, like a jam or like a real creamy cheese is going to help cut through that acidity. Richness from like beef, or it's just thinking about how you're going to experience the sandwich the whole way through as you're eating it, and like really lighting up your whole tongue. And like allowing you to like have that full umami, salt, acid, sweetness, heat, everything, all just very well balanced, not too aggressive in any of those categories to really make them sing together,
That was beautiful.
Nice.
Makes your tongue light up. I'll be stealing that in a future write-up
Yeah, you
of
can
something.
take it. You can take it.
Paul, what do you think makes an elite sandwich?
I think you got to have quality ingredients, and I think if it's made with a lot of love and thought put behind it, I think that makes it an elite sandwich.
What do you think, Chloe?
And it's going to light up your tongue.
That's genius. I don't know where you got that, but that's really good.
I think a good sandwich is one that you want to take another bite when you're chewing the first. I don't know. It's all about, like he said, it's all about the balance. Because I've had experience where I use like really good ingredients, but put it in a sandwich just doesn't go together. I've had sandwiches that, you know, it sounds really good, but then I bite into it and it's not just quite there. But there are sandwiches that, you know, I love a good Reuben. Like, it's one of those things that you take a bite and you're like, wow, like I can't wait to take another bite. So that's my definition of a elite sandwich. 'Cause, I mean, it doesn't matter if you use the best ingredients in the world, if it doesn't come together. I'd rather just pick it apart and eat one by one.
Well, that kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Paul, and that.
And it has to light up your tongue.
Yes.
Like the beauty of a sandwich is, you know, you can have all these great components, but a sandwich puts them all together in like that one bite. So like, you know, if you think about a breakfast sandwich, you can have eggs and bacon and an English muffin and a jam, and like all that stuff is normally on a plate, but you're not having to cut it up and construct anything. It's just there, and
right.
It's portable and it's easy. I think that's part of the attraction of a sandwich is it's all the flavor, all the texture, everything that you want together in just the most complete, easy package that you get to experience all at once. I want to talk about sandwich construction, because the way that a sandwich is put together can completely change the eating experience. I mean, even just the layers that you create with sandwiches, it hits your tongue differently. You experience it differently. If you switch ingredients, like where they're located on a sandwich, it can be fantastic, or it can make the sandwich like fall apart, or ingredients like splooge out the other side. How do you guys approach sandwich construction?
I usually put it between bread.
That's a good start. Unless you're Paul, then you put it in a tortilla.
Yeah.
Like you were mentioning, you just got to be really like mindful about how you're going to receive that sandwich. I think I served you a BLT once, and you had mentioned like, yes, this was an incredible BLT. It kind of fell apart on me, and it made me rethink. Well, okay, I put the avocado on top of that tomato. What if I put it on top of the bacon and kind of reposition where everything lives?
Plus, there's no A in BLT. So you put avocado on it.
Oh, true. He ordered it.
I added avocado.
Oh, okay.
The fault is mine.
But yeah, honestly, just like repositioning that avocado anytime anybody orders that, I've been like, you changed how I built my sandwich, 100%. It eats better now.
Wow, I made a good suggestion.
You did.
This is
I'm always
this is
open
a
to
weird
critiques.
feeling.
It's not always welcome, but I'll listen.
I think I must be a natural because I don't really put thought into it. I just like I mean we construct it, and I mean there's things, you know to not put your proteins on the outside of the bread, and typically put sauce on both sides so that everything sticks, and that's about it. That's for me.
I don't know. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty specific about how I put my sandwiches together, I guess. I don't like to construct it in a way that when you swish it, the ingredients fall out.
Yeah.
So, I think something have to lay flat, so that when you bite into a sandwich, everything stay together. So I think that's most important. But in the banh mi sandwich, then I think it's important the meat go right above the sauce, so the juice from the meat go into the sandwich and not, make
lap.
everything else soggy.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
With a sandwich, I mean, there's not an end point necessarily to it. I mean, you can just keep stacking layers, and I've seen sandwiches that are that big, and you got to mash them down and go full anaconda to even have a chance at putting them in your mouth. But usually, as you add a certain number of elements, there's a law, or not a law, but there's diminishing returns at a certain point. When you're constructing sandwiches, how do you determine this is a good time to stop adding, it's good as is?
I mean, have you ever seen a stellinator?
I've seen the stellinator. That is like that big.
It is.
I might argue that is an example of one that went a little too far. Unless you finish it within 45 minutes, and you get a cool T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, not speaking from experience. Somebody else try to eat it, not me. But with the stellinator, by the time you get to the bottom of it, the whole bite that you get is peanut butter and onion.
Yep. Jess tried it.
You don't get anything else. So for me, being able to bite into it without,
Unhinging your
yeah,
jaw.
yeah, which I kind of suffer that. I kind of struggle with that with Block 16 sandwiches sometimes because sometimes Paul goes a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you look at the picture and you're like, is this 2 sandwiches?
Yeah.
I feel like you put I can't remember what it was. I feel like you put a sandwich inside a sandwich once.
Probably. Yeah.
What's the Thanksgiving sandwich? The moist maker?
Yes.
That thing's about 18 different layers.
And that's not ours. I mean, that's from friends. That's
right.
From, but I don't. I mean, we do go a little crazy on portion sizes at times. Like it's but I feel like there's no set rule. You have to stop here. But I feel like once you've been doing it for a long time, or you just kind of know, okay, we're at this point. No one needs 15 different components on a sandwich. And if you've got your salt, you've got your sweet, you've got your sour, you've got your crunch, just stop. You know what I mean? At some point, it's going to go from really cool to obnoxious. And you just have to kind of know when to quit.
I don't feel like he's the one to speak
I know,
on this topic because I mean I follow Block 16 special every day, and sometimes I'm like, that's 2 meals.
Yeah.
But this is I mean, in your favor, Paul, this is why every Omaha restaurant that I talk to, when I talk to them about social media, the first restaurant they bring up is Block 16. They're like, those guys nailed it. Because you guys have the new special every day. You take a great picture of it. Sometimes it just looks like a fantastic dish, and it's just like, oh, I want that right now. And sometimes you look at it and you're just like, I don't even know what this tower of food is, but it's interesting and it catches my attention. So I think there's something to that too, and you build an audience and you get loyal customers by sometimes you got to color outside the lines a little bit.
Right.
And the thing is, I've had some of your crazy stuff before, some of the stuff that's just stacked up. I mean, I know you said you didn't originate it, but the moist maker, basically the Thanksgiving sandwich that has all the components of Thanksgiving, it looks ridiculous. But when you eat it, it somehow makes sense.
Yeah.
There's cranberry sauce and turkey and mashed potatoes, and I'm just like, how is this between bread? And I love it. So I don't want anyone to be listening to this and think Block 16's making gimmick food that they are just doing for social media and they just keep stacking, because you guys sometimes make it look crazy, but it also still makes sense. And I think that that's really important.
I don't know. It always tastes good.
Right. It always does.
I tried the one where he stuffed mac and cheese inside a waffle cone in a burrito, and somehow it tastes good.
Right. We call those Yellow Ledbetter specials because the Yellow Ledbetter is a song by Pearl Jam that makes no sense. It was just a jam session, and the words, none of them make sense, but everybody loves the song. If you've ever heard it, you love it. And so that's where we're like this. Sometimes they just don't make sense, but you're going to try it and you're going to like it.
Fair enough. What is a sandwich that you would love to make or eat, so make for your restaurant or just eat yourself, that you haven't made yet?
I definitely am going to try to get a Reuben on the menu here, which is a bold statement in Omaha, but I'm going to do it.
Well, you guys had a Reuben,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and it sold out before I could get my hands on one?
2 days. So, I mean, that was a pretty good indicator. And personally, I'm a pretty hard critic on the food that I produce personally. I really scrutinize it. And And I took a bite of that sandwich and I stepped back and I said, this is the best sandwich I've ever made. So it's a very labor-intensive and timely thing. You have to have, it's all about timing, I guess, because I do everything from scratch. I'm brining my brisket. I'm smoking it myself. I'm doing my own bread. I'm making my own sauerkraut, making the sauce. I'm like, it's all about landing everything on the correct day to make sure that it all is there and ready. So it's a challenging one, but I'll pin it down. I'll get there.
Well, we've talked a lot about sandwich memories. I know from what you guys posted on social media, there's some pretty strong memories for you associated with that sandwich as well.
So the very first pop-up I did was with a very close friend of mine. His name's Colin Kentop. He's unfortunately not with us anymore. I love and miss the man dearly. But it's something that I want to also kind of keep his memory alive and just keep that flame inside of me and like pay homage to a really close friend. That's, it's a special sandwich for me. Yeah.
What about you, Chloe? What would you put on your dream banh mi? Well, you probably made your dream banh mi. Make your crazy banh mi.
I honestly, when I think about crazy banh mi, I think about a version of the banh mi that I always love to get in Vietnam, but it's kind of hard to do here because the most traditional banh mi actually is not really any of the popular ones at our restaurant. Is the ham one. So most of the time when you go to Vietnam and get a banh mi, it's like the one with the pate and the ham. And there are so many kinds of different ham that they put on there, and every shop kind of have their own version of that. So my favorite shop is this place that have, oh my gosh, I swear they have like 15 kinds of ham that they put on a banh mi. Yes. Wow. So they have, like, I don't know how they come up with that so many kind of ham. But it's all go together and it's so good. Like, they even have head cheese, which is like,
it's the best.
Yeah, it's made out of like the head stuff, like the ears and the snouts of the pig.
Cheeks are the cheeks,
best. Yeah, and then they push it together and it kind of like come together because of all this collagen. Anyway, so the shop put this banh mi together with like 15 kinds of ham, and then they make their pate and how, and they just slap it all over the ham, and the mayo, and I mean, the sandwich itself is like massive and is packed full of all kinds of different ham, and like I think that's the only thing that I'm missing. The only banh mi that's missing out of my menu is that monster, but it tastes so good, and it's just I don't know. It's one of those things that it's kind of hard to achieve here.
You guys don't have the capacity to make your own head cheese and source 15 types of ham? That sounds so easy.
Right?
Right. Well, you've got enough good sandwiches on your menu. But if that ever does come to pass, I would definitely try it, even though it sounds like it would put you in an instant coma.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever...
food coma.
Yeah. If you ever go to Vietnam, I mean, if you look up like the most famous Banh Mi shop in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City, it's gonna come up. And I mean, you can probably pull a video and see what I talk about. They literally have a line of just ham, and you don't even know what it is, but it tastes amazing.
Wow. Paul, you've made, like you said, 5,000 or 6,000 different sandwiches, so this might be a tough question, but you still have to come up with 5 more next week, so maybe It's not that tough. What's a sandwich you've never made that you want to?
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know that I can name one like just off but I think that's kind of the beauty of it, is that you could spend 10 lifetimes making a different sandwich every day, and there's still going to be something you've never heard of and you've never seen, So we're always traveling and we're always like exploring. We've eaten a lot of really, really interesting things, and so I go down rabbit holes on different cuisines, and I've been on a big French dip kick lately. I don't know what it is. I just like perfecting the roast beef, and then the right jus, and so the right bread, and it's like I'll beat it into the ground. Like we've gone through hundreds of pounds of beef over the last month because I just can't stop, because I'm just like get more top round in. I want to sous vide it for 25 hours instead of 26, but I want to brine it for 3 days beforehand, and it's like that. I think that's why we continue to do this, because it's never ending. It's like it's like nothing else. There's not a lot of other jobs where you can go in and just do you can learn something new every single day and never be great at it, That's a long answer.
That was a beautiful answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
For you guys, where does that passion come from? Because Chloe, you said Banh Mi Shop is, I think, 8 or 9 years open. Andrew, you've been cooking for 16 years.
Yep.
What gives you the longevity?
Oh, love of the game. I mean, you really got to love this. It's not an easy industry. Like, there's a reason why I'm in that kitchen at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I genuinely love producing bread and just cooking with my heart, and get to give back to the community that I was born and raised here. Like, it's an opportunity for me down the road to bring on staff and teach them what I know and grow with them, and it's cool.
For me, I think just like everybody that like cooking, I think you just have the satisfaction when somebody loves your food. I don't know why, but I mean, I love to cook. I'm obsessed with the process of cooking. I'm obsessed with the, experience and in the kitchen and all that. And then, when you have the finished product and you have somebody love it, it's very satisfying. And I think that's kind of what keep a lot of chefs going. Because, I mean, it's tough. It's not, I wouldn't recommend it for for just anybody to go into, but sometimes you just have that fire to just keep bugging you, and you just have to do it.
Also, I think, there's something, I heard this the other day, just like the instant gratification. There aren't many industries that, if you create something, you get to, like, instantly say this is good or this is bad. You have that immediate, like, input and reaction. That's pretty cool. I find a lot of joy in that also. I don't have to wait 9 years to figure out if this is going to be great or not. It's like, oh, actually, this is cool right now.
And you get, well, I'm sure this can be a double-edged sword, but you get that instant feedback from customers.
And
like,
that is a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah, I'm sure sometimes it's not, but like, my wife works for an architecture firm. I mean, she'll work on a project for 5 or 6 years sometimes before it comes to completion.
A great example.
Yeah, you got to grind and grind and grind, and she puts so much work into it. And now when she gets to go inside that building and she sees people enjoy it, then she gets, the joy that comes from, hey, I made this and people love it. You guys get that in the moment. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure, the hours, it's a very hard job. It's hard the margins are not massive. Chefs are not getting rich, but you guys keep doing it. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Love of the game.
What is the most underrated part of a sandwich that most people don't even think about that makes a huge difference?
I think it probably depends on the sandwich. To me, I don't know if you consider a burger a sandwich, but something like that with a hot protein in the middle, if it's getting cheese, and you send it out and the cheese isn't 100% melted, it completely changes. Like, say you get a Reuben and it's perfectly hot corned beef, awesome dressing, perfect sauerkraut, bread is toasted, and then you bite it and it's a cold piece of Swiss cheese. That changes it big time.
I could not agree more on that. When I was doing my giant breakfast sandwich hunt, there was an awesome breakfast sandwich that I had. I won't name the restaurant. But even as soon as it sat down at the table, and it tasted wonderful, but there's just a slice of American cheese on top of all this meat and eggs, and it was unmelted, and I was just like, guys.
It ruined, just from seeing it, ruined it.
Yes. I was like, you're so close. This is so good. Just melt the cheese.
Yeah.
I actually had somebody order cold cheese the other day. First time I'd ever seen it come back in a restaurant. I said, okay, I'll do it.
That's a choice.
It is. Everybody's got their thing.
I don't know. I feel like the bread is kind of underrated. Like, I feel like not a lot of people are like picky with the bread when it comes to the sandwich, because part of our thing was that I got all of the ingredients made, but the bread was, is a big process. You have to, figure out a recipe that worked commercially, and you have to make the dough, and it's just a whole process. So we were really looking for a vendor that can do the baguette for us, the Vietnamese baguette. But I mean, these are, we'll have some excellent bakery here, and everybody have their own version of the baguette, but it's just not quite right. It's just not right. The texture is not right. The flavor is not right. And, for something with so few ingredients, the taste of bread is just so different. And, I can't put all of my ingredients on rotella bread, and I love rotella bread. And it just wouldn't make a banh mi. So in the end, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to do the bread because there's no other way. And the first few months that we were in business, the bread was so inconsistent because doing a big batch and dealing with that much bread at a time, and the weather changed. It was rough, and so there are days that the bread just don't rise the right way. I mean, sometimes I would go and slash it, and it would just collapse. And the Vietnamese baguette, particularly, is basically a baguette that is proof so much that when it's baked, the inside is so light that it's almost hollow. I mean, it's so light that you swish it down and there's almost nothing in there. But even with all that, if we just cut that open and put stuff in there, it still tastes right. And I feel like the taste of the bread when it comes to a sandwich is what really make or break it.
I'm with her on that, 100%. That's why I take all the effort and time to make my own bread. I source local wheat from Jen Miller at Miller Dorman Farms. There's a reason why my sourdough has a really rich, full wheat flavor. It's that locally grown and milled whole wheat flour. I buy rye flour from her. Just giving that bread the care and intent and time and attention that it needs. That's where I always start with my sandwiches for that exact reason.
Well, let's talk about bread. Chloe, obviously, you guys always use the Vietnamese baguette, and a ton of effort goes into it. Like, yeah, if you're going to develop that product and it's authentic, you want to stick with it. But Paul and Andrew, when you guys are putting a sandwich together, how do you determine what bread goes with that sandwich? Like, Paul, you're talking about with the French dip. Like, there are many different rolls that you could try. Some would fall apart if you dipped them. Some, it has to be sturdy enough to hold together. Andrew, you make 4 or 5 different breads. You could use any of them to construct the same sandwich, and it would be a completely different eating experience. Mm-hmm. So when you make a sandwich, how do you decide what type of bread to go with?
Texture, structural integrity, like how big is your sandwich? Does it need to have structure and rigidity? Are you shooting for a really lofty, soft crumb or something like really nice and crisp, like that you can sear nicely? Like my shoku pan makes an incredible melt, or grilled cheese. My sourdough. Like if you tasted my sourdough and my shoku pan like side by side, you would really get your mind thinking like there's a really deep, rich sweetness in my shoku pan. There's a rich tanginess that I achieve from a 48 to 54-hour ferment with my sourdough, and flavor profile, balance. I'll go back to it. Light that tongue up.
Same. I agree. I do. I don't. It's you kind of, at least for me, when I'm writing everything down or like just thinking of stuff in my head, it's like you're just like, well, I'm gonna put like say a jardiniere, like this kind of loose condiment on it. I'm gonna want something like a focaccia or something that's gonna be able to soak a lot of that stuff up, or or none of the bread's gonna work, so I'll put it in a burrito, and it just kind of it's like sandwich specific. It changes all the time, but I feel like you do have to really think about it, though. I mean, it's like putting a Reuben on white bread as opposed to rye. You wouldn't, it doesn't make any sense at all. It's so it's ingredient specific. It's got to match.
Speaking of things that people will get mad about, if you put a Reuben on anything other than a very specific rye bread, whew, the masses they will let that be known how unhappy they are.
Yeah.
Andrew, one of the things that I love about talking to you is like when you start talking about bread, it's almost like you go to another place. Like in Happy Gilmore, where he has his happy place.
That's a great way to describe it.
Like that, I feel like that's you. And you talk about you're rocking out in the mornings, just being so happy with the bread. Where did that love for making bread come from?
It's a chase, As you mentioned, like there's days the bread it didn't turn out quite like I was expecting. It's really being involved in understanding how to respond, what your dough is doing. It's a relationship between you and your bread. It's not just the same every single day. If you don't know how to adapt and overcome, make a pivot here and there, and say, okay, this is proofing way faster than it was yesterday, just because the humidity is a little higher. You have to know to make those decisions. It keeps me locked in and focused. There's a lot of hate and a lot of bad things going on in the world, but when I'm making bread, it's all right. It's just me and the bread.
I used to be like that too. I mean, back when I was doing a lot of bread, like the banh mi bread is not the only bread that I've made. I mean, I do a lot of like the Japanese milk bread. I do a lot of sourdough, sandwich bread. I mean, I just love to bake. So I remember when before I have kids and I have a lot of time to spend, in the kitchen. It's a cool process. It's just, it's just you and your dough.
It's labor intensive, but man, there is nothing like pulling out a successful loaf of bread, the smell coming out of the oven, and you hold it in your hands and you just say, I made this, It's like a tangible miracle. You start with water, flour, yeast. It's just this soupy mess, and then you wind up with this beautiful product that the world loves. It's not just the Midwest. It's like this is around the world. People love bread.
Yeah, and the one thing with me when it comes to like homemade bread is that I struggle to use it for anything else besides just doing a slide and slap some really good butter on it and call it good.
Can you see why this guy's bread is so good? He
care.
talks about it like it's his child. It's amazing.
That's the secret. If you really want to get into this industry, it's not easy, but if you care, it's gonna work. That's what it boils down to.
What's the key to finding the right sauce or condiment to tie a sandwich together?
The sauce is just kind of like a blank slate. You could season it any way you need. Are you looking for a tangy sweetness? Yeah, maybe lean towards a barbecue sauce. Oh, you're looking for some heat? Maybe like a fermented hot sauce or something, You need creamy richness, sour cream or mayonnaise. I keep saying it, balance. Just keeping those flavor profiles in mind at all times and trying to find that beautiful symphony of flavors.
I agree. It's all about what makes the most sense. You might be, it's got to be, the sauce has to be every bit as important as every other ingredient on a sandwich. And, like when we were in French dip mode, we had done it was the 26-hour roast beef, and we were very happy with it. We did Cooper's Sharp, which is it's a processed cheese, but it's what you get in every a true Philly sandwich in Philly. It's Cooper's Sharp. It's not easy to get around here, but we had that and the meat, and we'd gotten these. We get our hoagies from Le Courtier, and it was awesome, but it needed something. We didn't know what it was. We're like, it doesn't need a mayonnaise. It needs acid, but it doesn't necessarily need a mustard. And we had remembered, I worked for the best chef in Omaha, Lionel Have, and he used to use Branston pickle. And so we were like, well, let's make Branston pickle, which is a lot of root vegetables and cauliflower. It's pickled, and then you can use molasses. We used Vegemite. A lot of people use Marmite. And it makes this, like, it's a very different thing. It's huge. They put it on everything in England. But we made it. We made way too big of a batch of it on accident, but we put that on there, and it just worked. You know, it was just like, well, it wasn't one of those things where you're like, okay, meat, cheese, bread, sauce, that makes sense, send it out. It was just like, let's try it. And it just really worked, you know, so it's just putting a lot of thought into it and just making it all make sense.
All right, I want to close out the evening here with a couple quick hitters. So 10 words or less response to these. You can only choose one for the rest of your life. Hot or cold sandwich?
Hot.
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 Fair enough. Best side dish for a sandwich?
Chips.
French fry.
I gotta go fry. Yeah.
Can a sandwich be open-faced?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're paying for it, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I agree with that one, but this isn't time for my opinions. Best sandwich you've ever eaten? This one I'll give you a little leniency. You can have more than 10 words if you need it.
Best sandwich I've ever eaten. Not going to lie, it's at Block 16.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Yeah.
I'm debating between that and the sandwich that I described in Vietnam.
Go with that one, because that's a good childhood memory. That's got to be better.
I don't know, though.
No, you're very that's so nice. That's so nice.
Well, Andrew, to be clear, what sandwich at Block 16?
You know, the sloppy neck is whenever I've gone in, every time I return, that is what I order. Like
Thank you, man.
Solid sandwich.
You guys are way too nice.
That's
Jeez.
a good one, folks.
The only thing better at Block 16 than the sloppy nick is the Nashville hot chicken.
Jeez.
But it's not a sandwich, so, I can't pick that.
Thank you. That is good. That's nice.
Well, Paul, do you want to call your own sandwich the best sandwich you've ever eaten?
No, no.
Join the crowd?
But I will tell you the best sandwich I've ever had, and I'm sorry because I love everything you guys do, but the best sandwich I've ever had was my grandma would make rye bread, mayonnaise, and head cheese sandwiches. And I can still take, I just made it for my kids a couple nights ago. I just love it. And it's because I think a lot of what we do, it's based off of like childhood memories. I don't know what it is, but I don't, there's a lot of things that I don't remember about my childhood, but I can tell you everything I've ever eaten. And I can be very specific. Like I remember the first time I got a Don and Millie's double cheeseburger, not the double Don, but the double cheeseburger. And I specifically remember like taking a bite on the right, and it was so good that I decided to take a bite on the left, and I'd have that perfect bite of like the long, elongated part of the burger. So anyway, food memories, grandma's head cheese sandwich.
You just summed up this evening beautifully, and that I think one of the reasons, and we've talked about this several times, but the reasons that sandwiches are so beloved is because we all have memories of them. And each of you has brought up multiple instances where you're just like transported back to another time, whether it's childhood or a vacation or a trip to Block 16, whatever it might be. And I think that's part of what makes sandwiches just such a beautiful thing that we can all enjoy. Paul, Chloe, Andrew, thank you so much for giving us the time tonight. Can we give them a round of applause, everybody? Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.